Hello. Today's an exciting day because I'm going to share with you my thoughts about the new Nutrimill Impact Grain Mill. This is brand new from Nutrimill, and the goal was for Nutrimill's goal was to make milling your own flour as affordable as possible for everyone. So if you have been looking at meals and going, I cannot afford one of those $300 or $400 meals, some of them are even up to $700. This is an awesome deal. This is $199, and then when you use my discount link, you get another $20 off. So that makes it $179. Y'all, I paid $300 for my Nutrimill Classic, which is a great grain meal. I'm very happy with it, but I'm so excited to be sharing this with you today. So join me. Okay, I think I have all my stuff together. I've put my meal pretty much together, but I was going to show you, this is your bowl or your container that it goes into, and it so easily clicks into the meal so that there's no way it cannot be attached. I know on my Classic there is, sometimes you can get this bowl, you think it's in there good, and then when you go to mill, sometimes if you've not clicked it just right, you have flour spewing everywhere. They've made this so that that cannot happen. Thank the Lord. Okay, so just a couple things about this. This is much smaller than what I kind of pictured. This is a nice size. This hopper holds 8 cups of grain. So that will give you approximately 12 cups of flour. And that should be pretty much enough for almost everybody, unless you're doing like 6 loaves at a time or something like that. So that's a good size. It does have on the knob here the settings. It has 7 different speeds, and we'll kind of test a couple of them. It will do anywhere from a very fine to more of a coarse setting, and that's good. You might want to make cream of wheat, and you would want to do more of a coarse instead of a super fine, so that's what that would be good for. Let's see, is there anything else I need to tell you? I guess I'll read this little thing on the side of the box. It says, why choose the Impact grain mill? Impact milling versus stone milling. Because I know some people swear by a stone mill. Other people, it doesn't matter. But if you're trying to make a decision, I'll let you know what this says. It says, this mill employs high-speed milling that quickly pulverizes grain into fine flour, but it does it without it getting the flour too warm. I've heard a lot of people complain about their mills getting the flour when it's finished milling. That flour is really pretty warm. Now my Classic mill, I have tested the temperature on that, and it's been around 110, 115 degrees, something like that, which is not too warm. But I've heard other people talk about their flour being much warmer. And, we don't want to get it too warm. And, you know what happens when foods cook, vegetables cook, a lot of the nutrients kind of go away. So we don't want to get that too warm right off the bat. So this ensures the grinding process remains cool, preserving every precious nutrient and the natural taste of your grains. Whole grains are packed with essential nutrients and free from harmful additives, aiding in hormone balance and overall health. These grains deliver vital vitamins and minerals, along with natural fiber, to enhance digestive wellness and blood sugar regulation. So that's kind of telling you why you would want to mill your own grains. This has 2 stainless steel impact milling heads. This holds 12 cups of flour, and this knob makes it real easy to know instead of kind of guessing what your speed is. So anyway, so let's try. I'm going to take some hard white wheat, and I'm just going to do a small amount, and let's see. That's about 1/3 of a cup. Okay, let me move this out of the way. We don't need that. And I'm going to do about 1/3 of a cup of wheat. Now you put your wheat in this before you turn it on. So that's one thing to keep in mind. That's like the Nutrimill Classic. Whereas like the Harvest, Nutrimill Harvest, and some of the other stone ground mills, you have to turn it on, then put your wheat in, and then adjust to what you want. Well, this, we're going to put this in, and then I'm just going to turn it to the speed I want. So I think I'm going to go, and this is, I did play with this a little bit yesterday, and I'll just tell you that at first you might just have to play and see what works. See, you have to get a feel for it. There are numbers on a sticker that comes on this knob, but that sticker keeps coming off, and I have to keep trying to adjust it, and I don't think I have it lined up exactly right. So I'm just going to go by clicks instead of the number, because I'm not sure I got that on there right. So we're going to do 1/3 a cup. That's not very much, but this will at least kind of give us an idea of the texture. And I think I'm going to go like on, it says, 1 is very fine, all the way up to 7. I'm going to go, let's see what happens on 2. So let's see what happens. Okay, so obviously the finer the setting, the slower the slower it's going to go through. So that actually takes a little longer than if you have it set on a higher speed. But let's look now at the flour. So to get this out, you're going to push this down, lift it up, and slide it out. Maybe it works better coming towards me. Yep. And then there is this little thing here you're going to lift up, and we're going to pull it off. Okay, so you'll see some light dusting of flour on there. I'm going to just kind of tap that. I'm going to get my little brush. Everybody asks me what kind of brush. This is the old, they say to use a pastry brush to kind of clean this out, to make sure you get all that goodness out. But I've used the silicone pastry brush, and that is just an aggravating thing. So this is the old timey, it's got the bristles, and that's what I use. To just, it works more like a broom, and it's perfect. So I'm going to take that out of there. Now, this is very fine flour. Oh, this is so soft and fluffy. I think I don't think I would want anything finer than that. That is so nice and soft. Wow. Okay. So that's good. So I am going to dump that in a little bowl. I think if I was doing bread, I would do a little bit. I would probably not go that fine. But for pasta, for cookies, for pie crust, yes, that would be excellent. Um, it's I would just I'm thinking first of all to do enough for bread. It would take a long time to mill that. Oh, and guess what? This is cool. This is not warm at all. So, of course, we didn't do a long time, a huge amount, but that's very cool. It's room temp. So we'll see. Okay, that's how I get all that out. So this is our fine, and I don't know if you can tell, but it is very nice, very nice. That's our fine flour. So now let's try. And the way you put this together is there's a little thing there, and this bowl is not perfectly round. It's got this little square side. This kind of goes, whoops, this goes in the lip on the round side. If I can put it in there right. I'm kind of more mechanically challenged, and yesterday I had to have my husband like, now how does this go? So I push that down, it fit in there, and then I'm going to lock it down. And then I'm going to put that in there like that. So now let us try doing about a third a cup, and let's go more. This was fine, so let's go more. Say we wanted cream of wheat, it would be more texture to it. You wouldn't want, if you use that for cream of wheat, it would just be real super smooth, almost like baby food. I would want a little more texture to it. So I'm going to put that in there, and we are going to go, and I'm going to go up to 7 just to see what it does, okay? Okay, so you saw how fast that went in. I wonder how big the chunks of grain are going to be. I have no idea. So I'm going to pull that out. Open this up. And to me, it comes up, yeah. Whew. Okay, it's not chunky, but it kind of feels like grits. Kind of feels like cornmeal, actually. Not quite as, it feels like sand. That's kind of what it feels like. So this would be great. This would be great for cream of wheat. This would be a great texture for cornmeal. That's a great texture for cornmeal. So some people use popcorn. If you want to put popcorn in there, I think you're going to have some great cornmeal come out of that. So I've just got dent corn. I have yet to try the popcorn, and the dent corn is bigger, but I think I'm guessing that it's going to do a good cornmeal, even with dent corn. So, whoops, that's all of that. So we have the coarse, which is, when you say coarse, it's not like chunky. I was actually expecting it to be a little chunky because it ran through there so quickly, but it's not. It just feels like sand. So it's kind of the texture of sand. So that would be the coarse setting, the number 7. So now I will tell you, no dust came out except what I just had on my hand, but no wheat dust, flour dust came out, that's amazing. Because even in my classic, even though I've got it in tight, you'll see little dust around on the counter. So they really made that filter in the top here. That does an excellent job. So that's cool. Let's see if there was anything. I think that's about all I'll show you about that. If you get one of these mills, just like everything else, you'll have to play and get comfortable with it. But I wanted to show you how well it does the fine. I can't imagine how fine that would be if I put it on one, because that is so fine on two. So, and it might not need to go. Actually, this has flour texture for wheat. Fine is 2 to 3. So maybe, and coarse starts at 4. So maybe for bread, maybe I would go about 4. I mean, it's not going to be very coarse. How about I try a 4 for bread, and let's see how that does. Let me go get a bowl and we'll put some in and I'll tell the difference. Okay, so we're going to try the, I have to remember that this goes in the back. It has teeth that go in that little thing. Push it down, lock it. Okay, so we're going to try this time. We're going to try a 4 and see how that goes. Give another third a cup. And let's see here. Here we go. That was very quick as well. I forgot to tell you, when you first get your meal, to clean any impurities from the manufacturing, you run a couple cups of white rice through here. Don't run your wheat through here. You don't want to waste that precious stuff. But a couple cups of white rice, run it through, and it'll clean out anything that might have been left over from the manufacturing. Okay, so let's see what number 4 looks like. Okay, so this one is slightly warm, but it feels a little sandy as well, but not as sandy as the 5, as the 7. So, but this is, let me see what the temperature is on this. It's just barely warm. Let's see. I have a digital thermometer that I've had forever and a day. It's supposed to be for meat, but I'm gonna get my, okay, so I'll stick it down in there. It's up to 83, 84. 88, 89. Okay, so this is not going to be very hot. It's moving very slow. It's up to 90. So we just know that this is not getting super hot. So that's good. Okay. So I'm going to just dump this out. So I'm thinking for bread, I'm kind of thinking maybe 3. maybe do 3. I don't know. We'll just have to see. We'll just have to play. And when you get yours, you just see which one you like the best. And then you go with that. That's the beauty of milling your own flour, making your own bread, baking in your kitchen. You get to experiment and do what you like. For example, yesterday I experimented. I was going to make raisin bread. We have gotten where we really, 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 really like raisin bread first thing in the morning with our cup of coffee. And if you have seen my recipe that I put out, the raisin bread calls for 1/3 a cup of oil. I've always used avocado oil or high oleic sunflower oil. This time I thought, I'm just going to try butter, but I'm not going to melt the butter. I just want to see what happens. I like to experiment. So I use soft room temp butter, and I used 1/3 a cup, and I just kind of chunked it up and added it into my dough. After I had let it sponge, I put all the ingredients in there, and I added it just like I would if it was the oil. I added it with my honey and egg and other flour. And so we had the soft butter go in there, and my mixer was mixing it all together, and I'm seeing these chunks of butter go around. And I go, I don't know if this is going to work or not. Let's just see. But after a little while, it got it all incorporated, that soft butter. And I'm telling y'all, that dough was so silky. It was crazy silky. And I thought, okay, this is interesting. And it stretched way far. It was an amazing dough. And so the test was, how was it going to taste? My husband said, hey, the texture, this is better than usual. Now, why? I don't know. And it tastes great. So that was a win. So don't be scared to try stuff. Just experiment in your kitchen. And if you're not an experimenter, you don't have that personality, just try a little something. Say, okay, recipe says an egg is optional. So try with and without the egg and see what happens, or whatever. So you start playing and you start seeing what works for you, what you like, and there's no wrong way or no right way. I see lots of people have lots of opinions on there. You have to do this to make bread. You have to do this method. Somebody else says, no, you have to use this method. Well, my brain goes to back in the pioneer days. They probably did simple methods, and I tend to go with more simple. But if you like to experiment and try other ways, go for it. And it all matters about what you like, what your family likes, and that's all that matters. And don't ever feel condemned if you aren't getting the texture like somebody says you should get. Just keep going, okay? You just do what works for you. It took me a long time to get this figured out because I was following somebody, and every time I would try her recipe, my dough would not work at all. It was too sloppy and wet. And I would follow her recipe and her method. I would be watching the video and do it right to the T what she did. And it was a mess. My dough was a mess. I couldn't, when I would pull it out of my mixer, it was just like sticking all over to my hands. And I was so frustrated. And then I thought, you know what? I'm going to go with what it seems like it should be. It seems like I should add more flour because it's too wet. So I added a tiny bit more flour. And guess what? It worked. The difference is the climate where she lives versus the climate where I live. So you just have to go with what works for you. You can take somebody's recipe, try it just like she does it, then you start tweaking to what works where you are, and not be afraid. You may have some fails. So what? I've had bread that it did not look that pretty, but it still tasted good, tasted fine. and then I just try the next time. So I just encourage you, don't be afraid to play. Don't be afraid to make your bread personal to you. Some people use honey, some people use molasses, some people use maple syrup, some people use organic sugar. Guess what? All of that is right. You do whatever you want. Some people use olive oil, some people use avocado oil, some people use butter, lard. I use a lot of times high oleic sunflower oil, which is organic, high vitamin E oil. It's nothing is wrong and nothing is right. It's what works for you and your taste buds and your family. So there you go. Sorry I got on that soapbox. But so we have very, very fine. We have very coarse, which is more like sand. And we have number 4, which is like a fine sand, if that makes any difference. So anyway, so you now have a little bit of an idea of what the impact meal is. I hope this helped. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask, and we will see you next time.